Yo, what up? Redzone In the Lab podcast. That's RITL, also pronounced Riddle. And it's me, Deuce, DEUCE. Training camp day 2 is today. Had a good camp today. Today, we're going to have Felix is going to join us today from Fox Sports AM Radio. He's going to give us just some things from their boots on the ground from day 1 and day 2 of training camp. That's going to include some defensive line, the new additions that we have, Dietrich Wise and Javon Kinlaw and those guys, Jacob Martin. We're going to talk a lot about that. We're going to talk about the energy at camp. Any Terry McLaurin whispers. I ain't talking about from the head coach. I'm talking about when they at the water fountain getting water. Is there any whispers about Terry McLaurin? Right after this, we're going to have Felix in the building. Appreciate y'all. Let's get to it.
Man, we've been waiting a long time for this, baby. Redzone In the Lab. Commanders. It's time. Let's get it, homie.
Welcome back. Felix is in the building. How you feeling today, my man?
I'm good. Trying to soak up this AC, man. I'm trying to get this AC back.
Yeah, it's hot out there, ain't it?
Well, actually, it's cool for now, but tomorrow is supposed to be real cooker.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Welcome, man. How you been? It's been a while. Season back in full effect.
Yeah, man, it's been good, man. Working hard. Just excited to be covering good football. I mean, I think that's my joy. Like, I get to cover good football. Like, I've done enough bad football. I want to do good football, and it's actually a joy to do, man.
Yeah, I mean, on the field and off the field, right?
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, like when you say, the phrase "don't miss," Josh Harris ain't missed, man. I'm trying to tell you, if he's missed, he might miss one, but he ain't missed much. So, like, it's just different. Like, I've been around. This is my 10th year covering the team. I've seen a gauntlet. I've seen the gamut, and it's just how everything's done now. It's a different vibe. It's a professional organization now, and I couldn't always say that. So now I can say that with pride. Like, it's a professional organization.
Yeah, that's fact. Like, that's where I'm at with Terry, right? Josh has spent so much money the last 6 months. Like, he got to wait for that new check to clear on the first. So when that happens, you'll see a Terry extension. Get right into Terry, man. Like we heard Dan, we heard Adam, we heard Jayden, and we even heard Bobby talk about him. But like, just walking around out there on the beat by the players, like any like whispers, man. I was Terry. Like, is there any of that going on within the players?
Not really. They understand what Terry's. They understand it. Like, Jayden said it best. It's the business of the NFL. Dan Quinn said it the same. There's no ill will to him. There's no, he should be here, wish he was here. They're just going about business, but they understand what is going on. But everyone has to feel like it's going to work itself out. Everything will be fine. There's no panic. There's no, what's going to happen next? Is he going to actually never show up? No one's thinking that. It's just, they're going about their business. They're going to do what they got to do, but they understand what Terry's doing for himself and for his family. So there's no ill will from anybody on that regard. But as far as like talking about it, not really. They go out there and they do their jobs, and that's the professionalism of this team. So there's none of that. There's none of that gossip, backstabbing, any of that stuff. That doesn't really exist in this team as it's built.
Yeah, I'm glad about that. Where are you with? Well, I know where you are. Like, I've heard you, I've seen you on the timeline. But tell the people, where are you with the Terry McLaurin extension? How would you have handled it to this point?
Well, I would do one or two things. Either first thing, I would approach it after the season give them a front-loaded deal because the way they're doing it now, they have a lot of cap space this year. I would front-load a deal. My thing has always been like 3 years, $90 million. You give a big bonus, you front-load it this year because you don't have anybody to extend this year. Then next year you got to do tonsil, and you just kind of escalate it down. That was always kind of my thing. I think what threw the wrench in that was when first DK got his contract, and then when Garrett Wilson got his. And so now you see the average years bump up, and I think that's where the consternation is. It's the average year value. So if you say, I've always said 3 years, $90 million, 70 guaranteed, I think that gets the job done. I think it really does. But if you're trying to do, longer than that, I don't know if the team's going to really want to do longer than 3 years. So I think that's where the consternation is coming out. But they could do an easily front-loaded deal and be done with it out the way, and Terry be back in the fold. But I think that's where it's coming in, the average value, somewhere in that $30 to $32 million a year range. That's where the sticking point is, and that's where they're going to bump heads.
Deebo Samuel, presence. He took the offseason extremely serious. He saw that Super Bowl big belly photo that was going around, and you can't stop him from working out. You can't stop him from working out. He looks great. He looks really good. But just the presence of Deebo, because usually that wide receiver room is used to the presence of Terry, but Terry is homegrown, right? And Terry hasn't had the 21 season of Deebo and the success and being in the playoffs with the 49ers and being on TV. So a lot of people know who Deebo is. What is that presence of Deebo Samuel on the practice field?
Well, he's not a very vocal guy. But you can see people coming up to him because there's kind of the older guard of the receiver corps. So you got him, you got a Michael Gallup who's been around for a while. You have Noah Brown, that older, more established crew. Then you have the younger crew like the KJ Osbornes, the Lanes, and all those that are kind of watching and emulating them. So when they go to specials, you see Deebo working on little nuances of route running that Cliff Kingsbury offense needs versus Shanahan's offense. And just those little things he's working, and those younger guys see that. So he's not the vocal guy. I've maybe heard him say a couple things to some of the other receivers, but his work ethic, now that Terry's not there, he's the first one in the drill. So any drill you see, Deebo's first. So he's leading by example in that regard. So those younger receivers are seeing that professionalism. That kind of goes across the roster. You have those older guys who set the standard, like Eckler's setting the standard for the running back room. Tunsil's now setting, and Biotish are setting the standard for the line. You have those veteran guys all across the board who are setting those examples, and then those young guys follow behind it. But Deebo, he's leading by example. He's not the focal guy, but he is putting in the work. And I don't necessarily say it was based on that video, some of that was that he just had something to prove for himself because last year didn't go well for him with 49ers. And the year before that wasn't the greatest either. So he's trying to prove something to himself that he has it, and he does. And you can see already how Cliff is using him. So that first clip that everyone saw yesterday, that touchdown for him, it was a 2 tight end set, and then they flexed it so he ended up on a linebacker. Now that linebacker happened to be Tyler Owens, and he did a great job. He was right there, but 5 throws a perfect pass. There's nothing no one can do. So just nuances like that, you can just see how he's being used, and you're almost licking your chops like, how would they use Deebo? Because he's so versatile. But he's leading by example. That's the best thing I can say. Silent leader.
And just a small pivot. Tyler Owens, I don't know when you posted it, but I saw it this morning about that play and everything that happened on that play. But I think we're not even really paying attention that Tyler Owens was that linebacker.
Yeah, he was lined up. So I think they're kind of splitting the Jeremy Chin role. Harris is going to play the safety rover in that, and that's what he's been playing. But when they were in base, because the offense came out with 2 tight ends, Tyler Owens was on the field. He was lined up at linebacker. Harris was back deep with Quan. So now you got that size and physicality. So you now have him next with B-Wags in the middle and Luvu on the other side. Now he's being treated as that hybrid, and you just look at him, and he's just 6'4" and just solid, but he can run. Like, he was step for step with Deebo, and in that play, and it's just the touch of Jayden. Just that was there. So I mean, good offense will be good defense, but just he's getting that reps. Now, normally they're going to be in nickel. He won't be on there because that would mean Mikey would be on the field in the 3-corner set, and he comes off. But he will see a lot of action, especially in heavy fronts and stuff like that with tight ends. You're going to see a lot of Owens because they have a lot high expectations of him.
So when it comes to the defense, let's get back to this is the brunt of the conversation I wanted to, and I really want to talk about all the positions, but I ain't trying to waste too much of your time, right? Mm-hmm. But the defensive line and the edge rushers, one of the biggest things going into the offseason, we were small on the defensive line, not tons of depth when we need it, especially when some couple guys went down. Now you're counting on Fowler to help out in the run game. So we beefed up. We brought in more guys for that role. The Kinlaws, the Dietrich Wise. I love Dietrich. I watched 3 days of his tape a couple weeks ago. He is a great run support guy. He's great at that. But what's your overall take at this defensive line and what needs to happen for this defense to be special?
It starts with the defensive line. And I think the biggest lesson that AP took from last season was Philly rushed us up front. I think that was the biggest problem. And Philly's offensive line is massive. They're all 6'5", 6'6", and they were just moving Washington back. And AP, that was his vision. We can't let that happen. So he almost copied the 49ers playbook. So now you see Kinlaw in there. You see Goldman, who I think is going to have a great season. He looks really good. Dietrich Wise was the first DN with the ones the last 2 days. He's been an end where Armstrong's on the other end. So you have this, and you like Wise. I saw him do some drills, and his punch is
Whew. I mean, he really you can see the extension that he used, and it's not every now and then. It's like consistently.
Yeah. So what happens with that line? The line is massive now. So Washington no longer looks small. You know who looks small now? Deron Payne. And Deron Payne is not small. And it's like, wow. But a couple years ago, Deron was the big guy on the line. Now he's one of the smaller ones on the line, which is going to actually help him because now he can be what he needs to be, a 3-tech that gets up the field. But he always should have been not a 1, not a 2, nowhere near a nose, but he should be a 3-tech working on that backside guard. That's where he should be. That's where he should live. So now he can do that. And I haven't even mentioned Newton yet, who looks great. Looks totally different with his haircut. But he's now healthy, and talked with him today. He's excited because he only had 2 training camp practices last year before he got hurt. So now, boom, like he's there. So now look at the depth that I've mentioned. That's 5 guys I've mentioned. Haven't gotten Von Miller yet. Haven't gotten Clinton Farrell yet, and I haven't gotten John Baptiste yet. Adam Peters had a vision, and he saw that after that Philly game that we have to be stronger up front. And so that's why they did what they did. So the defensive line is going to set the tone, which is going to help Frankie, which is going to help B-Wags. B-Wags will always be there mentally. Luvu can now be the athlete he is, and that will make the whole defense better because now you're not just running up the gut. And that's what Philly did in that championship game. The first play of the game, bad defensive line play, Saquon Barkley's out the back door. So, that's going to change. So it's connected all, but it started up front, and that was the focus of Adam Peters. So now we can actually see Witt's defense, how he really wants to play it, because we didn't get to see that last year because he was covering for certain players to make sure stuff didn't happen. And it worked in a lot of games, but some games it didn't. It didn't work in the Philly game. The Detroit game, Detroit did get a lot of points. We got to remember that. It was just the offense was just hotter than fish grease, as my grandma used to say. Mm-hmm. So they covered up for that. But then you see the Tampa Bay game where the defense was exceptional in the playoffs. So there are things there, but the defensive line is going to set the tone to help the defense. And then the corners are it's different corners now. I tweeted it today. Trey Amos makes play after play. He looks like an NFL corner. He has the size, he's physical, but he's not grabby. And I think as a former DB, That's what I love to see.
Oh, trigger.
I know. You know, I see panics, I see hands, but you don't see that anymore. So now the rest, everything else kind of connects together. So, but Adam Peters definitely attacked the defensive line. The defensive line is violent. They are aggressive. They are physical. They are going to punch people in the mouth, and that's what that defense needed to take that next step. Because you can't always expect 5 to put up 35, 40 points a game or come back at the end to win.
Yeah, I agree. I have 3 spotlight players for training camp who I think are kind of outside of the bubble that I think is going to make the team. Okay. And one of them is Sheldon Day, right? I think Sheldon Day played very well what we needed him to do towards the end of the year and into the playoffs. How is he looking so far at camp?
He's fitting right in with that mold. He fits right in, just like they got defensive linemen for days, and Sheldon Day is doing his job. There's a massive push up front. I mean, don't get me wrong, the offense is not getting overrun by any stretch of the imagination. That people don't panic, but they're doing their jobs. And so, but Sheldon Days look good. I'll say this: he's gonna have to work hard just because of numbers. But I think he'll be like that last person that kind of gets in there.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of thinking. Von Miller, what do you think, or what do you believe he's going to, like, the team is going to benefit from him this year, and for those younger guys for Riz to come, even if he's not here?
His thing with him is another Bobby Wagner. Now, he's not going to play the snaps that Bobby Wagner plays. Yeah. But his impact, his work ethic, like, when I looked at him yesterday, I was like, if that's 36, I need to be 36. Like, this is different. Like, he looked like this when he was at A&M when I was cheering against him. Now, he looks the part, and he spoke a lot today of just about waking up, wanting to rush the passer. He knows that's why he's here, to rush the passer. But it's his technique. It's his skill. What is his keys? What is he reading? What is he learning from that offensive tackle that now you pass on? This is how you start setting up moves for this move, counter when you need it in the fourth quarter. And he talked about it when he spoke today. He's like, I get to be, because he's a big Kobe guy. He's like, I get to come off the bench and shoot. I'm coming out there shooting threes. Like, so he knows he's going after the passer, but he can play the run game. And I think what happened last year with Fowler is he wanted to get those sacks, and he is suffering in the run game. But he will be more consistent in the run game, but that's what the people are going to learn. And guess who else is going to learn from him? Josh Connolly, who's lining up across from him. You know, those sort of guys would be like, all right, this is why I did this move, because you did this. So imagine being a rookie and you get to go against Von Miller. So, like, you're just learning, and it just clicks. So his effects going to be on both sides of the line, because he's going to affect the defense, and he's going to allow, okay, Von Miller's over here, we got to shift on him. Frankie Louisville's over here, forgot about him. Or Payne's coming up the middle. Like, there's one person that people are going to start focusing on, which helps everybody else.
Great. 2 questions from the comments. Do you think Trey Amos is going to be a starter?
Week 1 against the New York Giants, 23 Trey Amos will be starting at left cornerback.
There we go. Okay. And how is Ja'Cory Brooks looking?
Ja'Cory Brooks looks fine. He big thing on him was drops. He had a drop, but he also had a couple touchdowns where you can see why people are high on him, his physicality, because our DBs are now physical. He's getting through that physicality to get himself open. So I expect him to. He has to keep working. He has to prove it in games. The wide receiver position is going to be open. It's going to be wide open. And I think after those first 4 guys, it's going to be a battle. And I think Brooks is going to be in that battle. He just got to make sure he secures that ball. That is number 1, 2, and 3 for him, because everything else he has. He's a good blocker. He's a good route runner. He's good after the catch. But job number 1 is to catch the ball, and he has to be able to consistently do that.
All right, this is the last 2 questions from the comments. Jordan McGee, and what do you expect from Marshawn Lattimore?
First one on McGee. McGee looks good. He had a rough year with injuries, so now he's really, really learning. He's pretty much the understudy to Bobby Wagner, like learning from Bobby Wagner, learning to do that. He will see some time, definitely on specials. Don't expect him to be a starter unless something happens, but Jordan McGee will factor onto this team. You just can't replace his speed and his size. I mean, he's a big guy. And Lattimore, you see a slimmer, healthier Lattimore where he's able to play the ball better. So I don't expect the defense for him to travel with the number one guy. I think they're going to let Amos be Amos and let Lattimore be Lattimore. Excuse me. And I think him playing more to that right side more will help Lattimore. So he's just – the technique gets very similar because he's staying on the same side. But he looks a lot better than he did. He looks – like I said, he looks leaner. That everyone was talking about Deebo, but Lattimore had to drop a few pounds and get healthy for that hamstring. But you can see him. The ball skills are there. He never lost the ball skills. And you can see him making plays, breaks on balls. So I think he will do a lot better. I don't expect him to travel. I haven't seen it yet, but it's only been 2 days, so I haven't seen him just travel with somebody. He's just playing that right side, getting those reps in.
And Mikey is probably going to be in the slot.
And Mikey's been in the slot. So Mikey, don't think of Amos replacing Mikey. Mikey's sliding in, and Mikey's playing everywhere. And Mikey's still being Mikey. He had a chance for an interception today and 7-on-7s from Jayden, and he dropped it.
He probably did that on purpose.
But he's still factoring in, and you got to remember it's the NFL.
Yeah,
they're getting nickel's almost base now, so he's going to be on the field a lot.
All right, two rapid fires real quick. Who's your starting offensive line, barring everything is good, without Sam Cosmi, from left to right?
All right. How I think they'll line up against the Giants will be Tunsil, Coleman, Biotish, Allegretti, and Wiley. I think that's who starts week 1. I think by week 4, it will be the same one with Connerly starting on the right. I think they're going to platoon him like they did with Coleman to start out the year. I do expect Cosmi back probably by October. I had made an informal bet. The Monday night game with the Bears, Cosmi comes back. And then Cosmi goes to right guard. And by that time, it should be Cosmi and Connerly. And I think that is a top 5 offensive line in the league at that point. If everyone's healthy, if you're lining up Tunsil, Coleman with his size, Biotish, who's a stud, Cosmi, and Connerly, that's a problem for a lot of teams. They're big, they're physical, but they all can move. And I think that's going to be the underrated thing. You're going to see a lot of screens, a lot of pulls, pin down traps from the whole 5 because all of them can move at this point. When Cosmi
if this for the last couple spots in the wide receiver room, are you going Ja'Cory, Chris Moore, Luke McCaffrey, Michael Gallup?
So let's go through who will be there. Terry will be there.
Mm-hmm.
Deebo will be there. Jalen Lane will be there. Noah Brown will be there. That's 4.
Mm-hmm.
You keep in 7. Gallup becomes 5 with Brooks and Moore. If you keep 6, I think it's between Moore and Gallup at that point. I think that becomes the battle if you're keeping 6. If you keep 7, then I think those 3 have a good shot at making it. Now, I didn't mention Luke. I think Luke's way on will be specials. And if he could easily be that 7th because of specials. And then I think that would take either Moore or Gallup off the roster. But I do expect Luke to be on the team.
All right, last question. How is the energy with the players? I like the way you smiled there. I like that. I love it.
I like Quinn because, and I've heard everyone who's come here, Vaughn, Ertz, Bach, Wagner, all the guys who come here say how highly the league speaks of Dan Quinn and people wanting to play for Dan Quinn. There is a good energy. Jayden Daniels and Deron Payne were going back and forth a lot of the practice, but it's that good. It's that good competition. It's that good competition, and it's a good energy because I think they know they have something special here, but they also have something to prove, and that it wasn't a fluke. And they're looking up I-95. No one's going to say it, but they had a bad taste in their mouth from that championship game. It's one thing to lose the championship game, and then it's one thing to get beat up because of that championship game. They are pissed about that. So they have a good energy because they're all working for that goal. Like they're all working for that same goal. They're competing hard, but then they're supporting each other at the end. So it's a very good energy. I mean, I've been to camps where it's just like, okay, we're here. This is what we're supposed to do. You know, I'm playing for this contract. Da, 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 da. Now you see a real good team, and you can see what Dan Quinn has instilled in that team, and they're in a great position because they're one of the few teams who did really well, who didn't lose coaches. Like they didn't lose a coordinator. Like, you know, everyone's so high on the Lions. The Lions gonna get revenge. The Lions lost both coordinators. Yeah. That means a lot, you know, because coordinators are going to take some people with them. Now there's people doing something that they weren't doing before. Washington's not in that situation. They have pretty much their entire staff back with a roster that's being built in Adam Peters' vision. So you can't beat that.
There we go, Felix, man. Fox Sports. Let everyone know how they can follow you and where to follow you.
They can follow me on Twitter, whatever it is, Instagram, whatever. BCommander2407. I'm out there. You ask me your questions, what you want me to look for. I don't do running backs and don't do offensive line to the pass. Come on, that's where men are made. So I see them, I see technique, but I need to hit somebody. So
that's right.
Once the pass come on, then that's when I'll get to those. See those battles because that's where the rubber meets the road. So, but anything you want me to look for, anything you want me to focus on, just hit me up. I'm happy to do it.
Thank you so much. I know your time is valuable, just like everyone else that's watching and comment. I know your time is valuable for you to spend it with us. We absolutely appreciate it. Remember, do it because you love it, not because it loves you. One beat, one sound, one heart, one love.
Man, we've been waiting a long time for this, baby. Redzone in the Lab. Commanders. It's time. Let's get it, homie.